All right, folks, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered. On today's show, more bombs sent to Trump critics, Joseph Biden, Robert De Niro, and a second one to Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Trump says, not my fault. First, he says, a call for unity. Now he's back to slamming and blaming the media. We'll break this thing down and talk with Mississippi Congressman Benny Thompson, the ranking Democrat on the House Homeland Security Committee. Also, 6 organizations concerned with civil rights unite to pressure social media to get the hate and racist content off of those platforms. We'll talk with Christian Clark, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. Also, Time Magazine quotes Michael Avenatti as saying the 2020 Democratic presidential nominee better be a white male. Really? He'll be right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered to explain those comments. Also, another clueless white woman wears blackface to a Halloween party. Didn't she watch me on Megyn Kelly's show? Speaking of Megyn Kelly, NPR's reporting she is out at NBC. We'll have the latest details on that as well, plus election updates from Georgia and Florida, including Andrew Gillum again destroying his opponent in a debate last night. Wait till we show you this video. Plus, we'll also tell you the latest what's happening at Prairie View A&M University, where they're fighting with officials in Waller County, Texas, to get those students the ability to vote on their campus. Also, we continue our series on discussions regarding the black press. We have the author of the book, The Rise and Fall of the Associated Negro Press, The Jim Crow Paradox. That's right, we'll be talking with one of our greats about that as well. Plus, I promise you the video of Niecy Nash, folks, with advice for calling for white folks who keep calling the cops. Yo, wait till we show this video. Y'all gonna really enjoy that. It's time to bring the funk. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time, and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
More bombs were found on their way to Trump critics today, two to former VP Joe Biden and one to actor Robert De Niro. That makes 10 devices so far, including two to Congresswoman Maxine Waters and one each to President Barack Obama and former Attorney General Eric Holder. The investigation is centering on Florida, as the return address on all of them was Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This afternoon, New York City Police Commissioner James O'Neill said the packages contain, quote, live devices that should be treated with the utmost seriousness. Joining us right now is Congressman Benny Thompson, the ranking Democrat on the Homeland Security Committee, and he joins us by phone from Mississippi. Congressman Thompson, glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Roland.
Latest information that you have received, obviously the FBI and others are investigating this. This is of serious concern to have this many devices that they say are live devices going to Democrats.
Well, absolutely, and I just had a briefing by the Secret Service on their part in this, and clearly it's an ongoing investigation. It's one that concerns a lot of us. Some of the people were people being protected by the Secret Service, but a lot of the other ones, ordinary citizens, you know, and to the good work of the postal inspectors and some other people, we're trying to work through that. But it's an unfortunate situation. It's an act of domestic terrorism that I believe has been manifested by Donald Trump's rhetoric. And I'm being straightforward. Everybody on the list is a Democrat. Everybody on the list he's talked about in one form or fashion on numerous occasions. And, you know, there are some crazy folk out here, Roland. And if you hear the President of the United States saying body slam somebody, or if you get locked up, I'll get a lawyer to get you out. Some people take that for what it's worth and say, well, you know, that means if I do something, he might protect me. And that's the kind of language that I think Donald Trump has been putting out there, that some of these folk who, for whatever reason, believe it. And that's not who we are as a country. We stand for right, but we also want people to understand that freedom of assembly and speech is granted, and you just can't be a bully just because you're the president.
Also, Congressman Thompson, obviously Donald Trump a couple of days ago called for unity, but then actually yesterday called for unity, but then today on social media went right back to attacking the media, blaming them for this, accepting no responsibility whatsoever. Now, granted, we don't know the motive, we don't know the person behind this, we don't know any of this, we don't know if this is Russia or some other country who's actually doing any of this. But clearly, when you have a president who just cannot resist himself for attacking everyone else, this is not how leaders lead.
Well, you're absolutely correct. He is the elected leader of the United States of America. He has to set a standard that other countries would want to emulate. He has lowered the standard to about as low as it can go, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But more important, Roland, is the fact that we as a country historically have been open and available to oppressed people. We understand individual differences, and that's what has made us great. Now our elected president decides that it's all about him, and anybody that disagrees with him, he attacks. I have a grandson who's 13 years of age. If that becomes a standard, what can I tell him? He said, Papa, if the president talks about people, why can't I do it? So there are some real life issues that the president has just destroyed by all this attacking of people. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a good sister. If you disagree with her, fine. In America, we settle our differences at the ballot box. We don't send a bomb to you because I disagree with you. And I think that's the misinterpretation that's occurring with all this rhetoric from Trump.
All right, then. Well, Congressman Benny Thompson will certainly be watching this story as it develops. It is certainly a scary one, and we thank you for joining us to explain what you know thus far.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. Speaking of California Congresswoman Maxine Waters, as I said, she had 2 packages that were addressed to her, one sent to her D.C. office. Now, she's been a fearless critic of Donald Trump, and she told Blavity she knows exactly who is to blame.
I think the President of the United States should take responsibility for the kind of violence that we're seeing for the first time in different ways. I think the President of the United States has been dog whistling to his constituency, making them believe that their problems are caused by those people over there. And I think that they're acting out what they believe the President wants them to do and the way that he wants them to act. As a matter of fact, if you pay attention, or you paid attention to the President during his campaign, when he talked violence, he talked about beating up on people and taking them out on a stretcher, and even said he would pay their lawyers' fees to get them out. Just the other day, he was laughing and basically appreciating the fact that a member of Congress had slammed a journalist, and he mimicked and mocked the slamming of that journalist, and he in his own way really does do a lot to promote violence.
All right, well, let's go to our panel. Dr. Greg Carr, Chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University, Barbara Arnwine, Executive Director of the Transformative Justice Coalition, and Malik Abdul, National Communications Director, Black Conservative Federation. Barbara, I'll start with you. When you look at this, again, you had Trump coming out in a White House statement calling for unity, and then he immediately goes right back to blasting the likes of CNN, saying it's the media is causing all of this. This is a moment where, again, 10 devices have gone out to folks like George Soros, 2 former presidents, a former Secretary of State, a former Attorney General, a member of Congress, a former Vice President, an actor. You would think out of all the moments, this is where Trump would just resist his natural urge to trash folks, to fight, and to actually act like a damn president.
Well, Roland, we know that the Russian agenda has been to undermine democracy, confidence in democracy. How do you undermine democracy more than by sending bombs to people and threatening people? I mean, this is, Trump, we know, is in allegiance with Putin. And I think that he basically does not respect democracy.
Well, first, again,
that he loves dictatorship.
Well, the first thing, we don't know who is behind this, Malik.
Right.
But again,
and I'm not saying that it is Russia.
But again, though, first of all, we don't know. It could be, look, it could be anybody. It could be somebody on the left, somebody on the right. It could be Russia. It could be China.
Of course.
We don't know. It could be ISIS. We have no idea. But Malik, how, at some point, I mean, as a Republican, when does this man act like a president and stop acting like a damn high school bully?
Well, this is who Donald Trump is. This is who Donald Trump has been for a while. There are things, obviously, that I would like for him to do differently. Unfortunately, he does not do those things. But what I reject is the notion that somehow, if a president is presidential, then all of the rest of us, they would say back home, have some act right about us. It's just not true. Obama was a model president, but people didn't treat each other right when Obama was in office.
But the point, though, of leaders.
No, I get that.
The point of leaders is to lead.
He should not engage.
The point of leaders is to act right.
Right.
But again, when you send things out, when you send these tweets out, and when you see them, and you listen to the absolute nonsense, when you look at him complaining about the New York Times and his cell phone, dude, former staffers say he uses cell phones that are not protected, that he uses non-government cell phones. And all he does is just go, what the hell, I'm just going to go ahead and lie about it. I'm just going to go ahead and lie about it. You know, and then, and again, it's this constant attack. Act like a grown man for sometimes.
I don't agree with everything that the president says or the president does, but I still reject the notion that somehow only if Donald Trump acted.
I never said that.
But
Greg,
no,
Greg Carr, it's
I
not a
think
question.
it should be.
It's not a question of if he only acts this way. Again, but be a grown up.
Well, I mean,
or at least fake it.
Roland, I think Donald Trump is the most useful clown to ever occupy the Oval Office. Because what's not, no, seriously, because what's not on the front page? The Saudi story. What's not on the front page? The fact that I'm so glad our friend Kristen Clark has joined us because 2 federal judges, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, had a 20-minute hearing with 2 sitting senators there, including Orrin Hatch, while we're talking about Donald Trump talking on the phone that the Chinese and the Russians and everybody else is tapping, while he has the blessing of talking crazy to get, and talking about this fake caravan business to get all that other stuff off the front page. In other words, finally, while this fool is ranting, the people who are using him are very openly going forward with their agenda to transform this country.
When you spoke about that, of course, 6 organizations, the Color of Change, the Largest Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, the National Hispanic Media Coalition, Southern Poverty Law Center, and the Center for American Progress and Free Press are asking the tech industry to take a firmer line against hate groups that use their platforms. These organizations want tech companies to prohibit hateful activities and gear more resources towards enforcement. Joining us right now is Kristen Clark, who leads the Largest Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. Kristen, this is obviously, you look at Twitter and other companies, they got rid of Alex Jones from their platforms, cutting off their access to the likes of YouTube, to Twitter, Facebook as well. But then, of course, they circumvented that by having other staffers who were still on there. Then they got rid of 14 more of those accounts. Then when you look at Facebook, who says that, well, you know what, some people we can get rid of, some people we can't get rid of.
Well, look, the reality is that hate is on the rise, and a lot of the hate activity that we see in our country today doesn't start on the streets, it starts online. It starts when people get together and literally incite people to violence. And too often we're seeing that violence targeting African Americans, Latinos, gays, and other protected minority groups.
We just saw 2 black people who were shot and killed yesterday in a grocery store in Kentucky.
And it's time that we hold the tech sector accountable. What we did is we spent 9 months consulting with experts in this space, and it's now time that we hold the tech sector accountable. We've put out best practices and policies that we want social media platforms to adopt. It's about holding them accountable, promoting transparency, and really putting them to the task in terms of filtering out. It's not about speech, but filtering out activity on these platforms where you are talking about, you know, organizing activities like what we saw in Charlottesville. You know, we were talking earlier about the bombs. It is a reflection of the dark, toxic era that we are in, and we think that the tech sector has a role and responsibility to do more to stamp out hate.
Have they responded?
They're working with us cooperatively, and they've been receptive, and the hard work lies ahead. We've put the policies out now, and in the next several months, we're going to be, you know, bringing pressure to bear to make sure that they are doing more to stamp out the rise of extremism and hate groups that are literally inciting violence all across our country.
And Roland, it's not just nationally, it's internationally. The United States accounts for more than 70 to 80% of all hate online that comes from our hate groups here in the United States. The United Nations has been calling on the U.S. for now more than 2 decades to do something to regulate hate speech out of the United States, because we're not only polluting this nation, we're polluting the entire globe with our anti-black racism and all of our immigration hate, all this ethno-racism that's being talked about, ethno-nationalism, white nationalism. It's really ugly. And the United States really needs to be held accountable, and especially these big techs that sit here.
Malik, the other issue that we saw is that early on in this Trump administration, the Sessions Department of Justice backed off of enforcing going after white domestic terrorists, and then they put their focus on black civil rights groups, Black Lives Matter, as somehow as if they were the problem. And when we have undeniable evidence, especially after Charlottesville, of these right-wing terrorists who are out here, one of them who was just captured in Mexico, who fled after Charlottesville.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I can start off by saying that I'm not a huge fan of Jeff Sessions, maybe because maybe Donald Trump isn't either.
You're a huge fan or a big fan or a little fan? Or no fan at all?
I wish if he had chosen someone else, I would not have been upset.
Yeah, but he chose him, and the reality is he is the Attorney General, and he has not been leading when it comes to going after these hate groups.
Yeah, I'm hoping that after the midterms, Donald Trump finds someone else. As a
Christian, again, I want to go back to you. What do you expect these groups to do? Because look, they have tried their best to say, hey, there's not much that we can do, but they also are benefiting financially from these groups.
Look, we're in uncharted territory, but the reality is that these mega companies, Facebook, Twitter, social media is providing a platform to amplify messages of hate and providing a platform where extremists and right-wing groups literally are, going to their platforms and inciting violence, targeting minority groups, and it's time for it to stop. So we put out these best practices and policies today, and it's never been done. You now have dozens of civil rights groups and human rights groups that have come together and said, we're going to hold you accountable. You have a role for where we find ourselves in 2018, which is a moment where hate really is gripping the country and tearing us apart. And they have a role to stamp it out, and we intend to hold them accountable.
Where can folks get information and see those best practices?
They can visit our website, lawyerscommittee.org, and learn more about this important effort.
Okay, Kristen Clark, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, many of us know Michael Avenatti as the lawyer representing adult film star Stormy Daniels. He is now also seriously running for the Democratic nomination for president. But an interview that he did with Time magazine is causing huge stir on social media, where they quoted him as saying the following: I think it better to be a white male, talking about in 2020. When you have a white male making the arguments, they carry more weight. Should they carry more weight? Absolutely not. But do they? Yes. Joining us right now via phone is Michael Avenatti. Michael, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Michael?
Yes.
Michael, do you hear me?
Yes. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Great. First and foremost, this article that ran in Time magazine, when did this interview take place?
For the last.
Okay, Michael, you're breaking up there. Okay, do you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. So when did this interview take place?
No, the interview took place over the last few months in various points in time.
So this was a profile being done on you, so there were multiple interviews.
Correct.
Do you recall if the interview was recorded or notes were only taken?
At various points in time, I believe it was recorded, and I believe that notes were taken at other points in time.
So when they quote you as saying, when it comes to 2020, I think it better be a white male, did you say that or not?
Look, I want to be really clear about this. I was misquoted, and it was taken out of context. If you look at, I've given the same speech about 50 times across this country, 15 different states. I've been really clear about my position as it relates to racism, bigotry, and sexism. And my position is as follows. Too many of my brothers that are white males have taken the easy way out over the years. We haven't stepped up and supported African Americans, minorities, women, etc. We have allowed this fight to be their fight alone, and we have not stepped up and supported them. And I have been consistent across this country. You can go on YouTube. You can look at speech after speech after speech. So when it comes time for the 2020 election, my point is really clear and simple. We need more white males to step up and defend minority groups and people of color, period.
But I'm going to ask you again, as it relates to this particular statement here, that in the context of the 2020 nomination, did you say, or what was, you said taken out of context, what was the context of, I think it better be a white male?
The context was in connection with the 2020 nomination relating to delivering the message concerning racism and bigotry that has been sowed by Donald Trump and others within the Republican Party, period. I think there's a number of people that can win the nomination. I don't think it's a big number. I want to be clear about that. But I do not think it has to be a white male. It could be a woman. It could be a person of color. It could be a Hispanic. It could be a minority. But I think above all else, it's going to have to be somebody that is a fighter that can take the fight to Donald Trump.
So you're saying that when the quote says, "I think it better be a white male," are you saying? I just want to be clear. You're saying that within the context of that, you were saying that it needs to be a white male who is talking about issues of race and racism as it relates to Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, I think any number of people can talk about those issues, but my point is as follows. I think that more white males need to call out white males relating to bigotry and racism in the United States. And look, I mean, this is what I believe. I think that too many people that look like me have taken a back seat. They've stood on the sidelines. They've stood against the wall. And they've allowed these ideas of racism and others, or racism and other issues to be the fight of people of color, minorities, and others.
So Michael,
it can't be their it can't be their fight alone.
So explain this. They write, he hastens to add that he wishes it weren't so, but it's undeniable that people listen to white men more than they do others. Henry, go to my iPad, please. It's why he's been successful representing Daniels and immigrant mothers, he says. Quote, when you have a white male making the arguments, they carry more weight, he says. Should they carry more weight? Absolutely not. But do they? Yes. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, let me explain that. No, let me explain that because, again, I want to be really clear about this. That was taken out of context. When you have a white male that calls out other white males for being racist, yes, I think that that's powerful. Absolutely. Be clear. That's what I'm talking about when it refers to when you have a white male step up and make these statements. Absolutely. I think it's important for more white males like myself to call out other white males for being racist. Absolutely. I believe that. And I believe that's powerful. I believe that we need more people around the country that look like me to do that. I mean, look, let's be frank. Donald Trump rose to power because he convinced 2/3 of the people that look like me, right? White males, that our success depended on minorities and women and people of color, and our success depended on them being marginalized. That's not right. We need more white males like me to speak out against that.
So I'm going to read this, Michael. This is what I've got the Time Magazine article up, and this is what they wrote. Here's what Avenatti told Time in an interview on June 25th in New York City, before he began publicly considering a presidential run. They say the question was, is there anybody that you like in the Democratic political class? Or do you think the 2020 nominee should be someone from outside politics? Time Magazine says that was the question. They say your answer was, I think it better be a white male. Then they said, really? Then they said, you said 100%. And I don't say that because I want it to have to be a white male. I say that because of just the realities of the situation. I think if the Democratic nominee, anyone other than a white male at the top of the ticket, they're going to lose the election. And so I'm reading, and so as I read this again, and then it says, I'll be willing to bet anything. I feel highly confident in that, and it shouldn't be that way for this election. Question, but just because the electorate is too racist and sexist, they say because of where the electorate lines up and where Trump's strengths lie, I think if you nominate, then they went on. So Time Magazine says they're standing by their article, and they're saying that your comment about, I think it better be a white male, was a specific response to their question. Are you saying that Time Magazine is wrong?
Look, I've answered the question. I've been very, very clear about this. Look at over 50 speeches I've given across the country. I mean, again, I don't know how I can be more clear in what I've already said. I stand behind everything that I have said. People can go on YouTube.
I
They can look
understand.
at exactly. No. Let me just finish.
No, go ahead.
They can go on YouTube. They can go on YouTube and look at what I have said consistently. Okay, I am confident that your viewers, listeners, etc., agree with what I'm saying. More white guys need to step up and call out white guys. Period. I've been consistent about this.
But Michael, here's the issue though. I'm a journalist. I've been one since I was 14 years old. Time says that this was an interview and exchange back and forth. I don't know if this interview was recorded, so therefore, that way none of us can actually hear the context and the nuance of the conversation. But what Time Magazine has posted on their website, time.com, they have posted what they say is a direct question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And what I'm asking you is, are you saying...
I haven't seen it.
I
haven't seen it. I can't comment on it.
Okay,
No, wait a minute.
No, hold on, Michael. I'm going to finish my question. I'm going to finish my comment. Then you can go ahead and answer. So, again, and I'll send you the link so you can actually see it as well, and that's fine. But what if you say that they got this wrong, then what are you going to do next? Are you going to ask them to produce the recording?
Look, I haven't decided what I'm going to do next. But what I've done next is you asked me to come on your show.
Yes.
I did not hesitate. I immediately said I would come on your show. I'd be happy to answer your questions, which I am answering. I'm answering your questions.
Right.
So look, go back and look what I've said consistently for the last 4 or 5 months. Okay. The bottom line here is, and again, I think I gave the first speech in July or June of this year. And I've given the same speech across the country. I've said the same thing. I have called out other white males relating to the fact that they've taken the easy way out and have not done what they should do in connection with calling out racism, bigotry, and sexism across this country.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. I would love for Time Magazine, if you said that you were taking, because look, I totally understand. I've seen folks who have been taken out of context. I've also seen people who have said they were taken out of context. They actually were in context. I would hope that Time Magazine would release a recording of the conversation. I've sent via DM to you the link of their actual story so you can actually see what they have posted on their website. And then hopefully this will be clarified and cleared up.
Let me ask you a couple questions.
Yes.
Let me ask you a couple questions. Who do you think is best positioned to beat Donald Trump in 2020, assuming the economy stays where it is?
Sure. First of all, right now, there's no one person you can argue right now who's best positioned, because if you go back to 2007, I'm answering.
The likely candidate.
Michael, here's the deal. I'm answering your question. In 2007, in February 2007, in Springfield, Illinois, when I was there freezing my butt off when Obama announced he was running for president, the reality is from February through August of 2007, he was 20 points down to Hillary Clinton. He was down among African Americans. Everything changed for him at a debate in Iowa when she screwed up the question about illegal immigrants getting driver's licenses. The entire race changed. The reality is this here, and I've been saying this for 2 years. To get the best candidate, they have to run. Who do I think is going to be there? I do believe Vice President Joe Biden. I know a former Attorney General Eric Holder is looking at it. I know Senator Kamala Harris is running. Senator Elizabeth Warren is going to run. Senator Bernie Sanders is going to run. I do believe that potentially you're going to have former New Orleans Mayor Mitch Landrieu also run for president as well. I can't say right now who can beat Donald Trump because they haven't gone.
My question is different. No. Let's have an honest discussion.
Go ahead.
My question's different. I want to push back for a minute.
Go ahead.
Let's assume that it's October 2020, not October of 2018. You and I both know who's likely to run. So let's fast forward. It's October 2020. The environment is the same. The economy is the same. I'd like you to tell me right now who is the best person that has the best opportunity to beat Donald Trump of the likely candidates, and we can include everybody you just stated.
Here's why you can't answer that question and why it makes no sense. Because the two top Republicans who they said stood the best chance of beating Hillary Clinton were Tim Pawlenty, governor of Minnesota, and Scott Walker, governor of Wisconsin. And guess who were the first two candidates to drop out? Tim Pawlenty and Scott Walker. This is what I know, Michael, and I've been doing politics my whole life. The rigors of a campaign are different than sitting here looking at a sheet of paper. A person can give a speech in 2018, and oh my God, they sound great, they sound wonderful, they're a fighter, but when they get in the ring, they get their behinds kicked. I can tell you, Michael, that Fred Thompson had all the attributes. Another Ronald Reagan. Tall, strong senator from Tennessee. He ran one of the sorriest campaigns in history. And so the question really can't be, Michael, I'm here. So the question, the reason the question can't be answered is because until a person goes through the rigors of a campaign, then you never see how they fare under the stress and stand the test of that sort of rigorous deal. Everybody looks great right now. Like Mike Tyson said, Michael, everybody got a game plan until they get hit first.
No. Listen, I don't disagree with that. All I'm saying is, let's just assume that everything was the same in 2020 as it is right now. I want you to tell me your pick. Tell me the person, please. Tell me the person that you think has the best shot right now. Right now.
Michael, and I'm going to say to you again, and I gave you 3 names already who all the people, including me, I thought Scott Walker, out of all the Republicans, stood the best chance in October of 2015 of running against Hillary Clinton. He was the second one to drop out after Tim Pawlenty. So that's my point. So it doesn't make sense saying, who do I think today, until the person goes through the rigors. Michael, I've hired people who I thought could be an anchor. I hired one, and you know what? On paper, she was great. In the interview, she was awesome. Everybody loved her. You know what happened the first day she went on the air? She sucked. We took her off 5 days later.
No, I hear you, and I think you make a good point.
So until you go through the fight, you don't know. So all I'm saying is, you got to go through the battle to see who can survive the war.
Look, and you know what? I don't disagree with that, but here's my point, okay? There's a lot of people that are going to run, and they'd make a great president, and they'd make a far better president than I would, but they've got no shot of beating Donald Trump.
Well, actually,
and if the Democrats nominate,
Michael, you're actually wrong, because if you study the math, I understand your point, but Michael, I'll give you an example. Donald Trump won Florida in 2016, correct?
Correct.
There's a ballot initiative in Florida that's likely to get passed that's gonna give voting rights to 1.6 million formerly incarcerated. If that initiative passes on November 6th, Florida is completely changed. Donald Trump cannot go into Florida yelling law and order, because that means 1.6 million eligible people right now living will have the right to vote. Florida could flip overnight if a Democrat runs a strong criminal justice reform plan. If they even pick up 25% of those 1.6 million, they destroy the Republicans. So Florida,
let me tell you
switches.
From your lips to God's ears, I hope you're 100% right. I think that would be a phenomenal thing for Democrats.
It's
There's
polling
no
at
question about
72%
it.
right now.
I will just tell you, I've spent a lot of time traveling around the country. I've spent a lot of time in a lot of key electoral states over the last 2 to 3 months. This guy, unfortunately, Donald Trump, is not to be underestimated.
I agree.
And whatever the Democrats do, look, whatever the Democrats do, whether it's someone of color, whether it's Hispanic, whether it's somebody that's white, whether it's male, whether it's female, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, They have to nominate somebody
I
that
agree.
has the best shot of beating Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying.
Last thing, Michael, and I'm just saying, and the reason I reached out to you, I know you've been traveling around the country, but this story right here, Michael, is a problem. Right now, and when I say it's a problem, there's no group. Republicans told me that with Reince Priebus sitting right next to me, saying that there's no group that hates Republicans more than black women. And this comment, Michael, the Times reporting is not going to go over well with black women. And all I'm saying,
Well, let me just say something.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know.
And look, and I'm just telling you something. When I travel around the country, okay, African men and women are very, very supportive of my potential candidacy. And let me tell you why. Because I'm a fighter. And because they want a fighter, because they've had to fight for every damn thing they've ever had in their lifetime. So I have to tell you,
hey, Michael,
across this country, wait a minute, let me just finish. Across this country, I have enjoyed and been honored and humbled by the amount of success, the amount of support that I've had among African American men and women.
Michael, I hear you, but I want you to follow me. I've run 3 black newspapers. This is my 11th black media experience. Many people call me the voice of black America. And I'm telling you right now, this Time article is going to be a problem for you, especially Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Cory Booker, Deval Patrick, former governor of Massachusetts, and a former Attorney General Eric Holder, all considering running. And the reason I want you to come on to explain this, because either Time magazine is going to have to release the recording, they're standing by it, but I'm just letting you know, this is not going to go over well with black people. And
I'm not. Look.
I'm just letting you know. And guess what?
Look,
You can't even get close to the nomination without black people. Ask Senator Bernie Sanders when he ignored black people for 6 months.
Whoa. Have I ever suggested otherwise?
No. What I'm saying is, when you said, who do you think is going to be the person to beat Donald Trump? We need a fighter. Let's be honest. You want to be that guy. You do. And
I haven't decided. Listen. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I've been really clear about this. My life would be a lot easier if I did not do this. Okay. But
I understand.
Let me tell you what. Let me tell you what I believe. Okay. In 2020, we have an enormous amount at stake in this nation. We're talking about a fight for the republic. The Democrats can't screw this up.
I agree.
Democrats better nominate. The Democrats better nominate somebody that can beat Donald Trump. Period. That is the absolute goal. You don't get a chance to govern unless you win.
I agree.
Let's be clear about that.
I agree. All I'm saying, Michael, is this is going to be a problem with black folks. And I'm saying, I asked you, what are you going to do next? You should be saying to Time magazine, if they misquoted you, release the recording to show it, because the way people are seeing this is you saying it better be a white man in 2020.
Well, you know what? I disagree, because a lot of African American men and women have reached out to me this afternoon.
Michael, brother, I'm serious. I just want to let you know, between me and you, who knows black people? Michael, I'm just letting you know, bro.
I
know black people, and I know black politics, and I know how things roll. And the reality is, after 8 years of Obama, and black people actually see the potential of another black president, I'm just saying, it's not going to go over well. But go ahead with your final comment, please.
Look, I don't care if it's someone that's black, that's white, that's male or female or Hispanic. I could care less as long as they can beat Donald Trump.
All right. Michael Avenatti, hope this won't be the last time on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, then. I want to go to my panel. Greg, I'll start with you. What do you think?
I think the easiest thing, the hardest thing for him in the short term would have been to do what you gave him an opportunity to do. Say, yeah, I said that, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. But he embraced what a lot of people in this country believe. That's the white paternalistic attitude. Woo. In other words, this is the Democratic Party hunting for those 5 blue-collar coal miners. This is the Republican Party saying we can win with white men. Avenatti's best shot, you try to tell him, brother, look, man, just own up to it and say, maybe I'm wrong. But what he said, and I think the second part where you read at the very end of that quote, he said a lot of people agree with me. I do think a lot of people think that. Now, of course, he's got one final thing. He's got a little few more things on this problem for him, because today around 2 o'clock, looks like Chuck Grassley referred him and one of his clients to the Department of Justice, which for the investigation about this Kavanaugh testimony, which leads me to believe that they too are fighting a white man's game.
So let me break up here what was said, because I think it's just two different things. So I'm gonna deal with the second part before I deal with the first part. And the second part, when he said, when you have a white male making the arguments, they carry more weight. Should they carry more weight? Absolutely not, but they do, yes. Now, if we want to be honest, this is America.
Come on, brother.
When a white woman comes up missing,
that's right,
white media executives throw the resources at her. When a black woman comes up missing, we got to spend 6 months, 6 weeks telling the white media, cover the story, and then all of a sudden, after pressure, they cover it.
That's right.
We also know, whether we want to own to or not, in the civil rights movement, when they said, oh, hold up, we ain't gonna send these white kids into Mississippi, because if one of these white kids get hurt, they gonna shut us down. What happened when white folks responded? Like, everybody forgets. Everybody wants to set this whole thing up that was this massive response after Bloody Sunday. And there was, when people accepted the call of Dr. King to come down to Selma. But it was after the murder of James Reed.
Yeah, Jim Reed, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
That caused a massive number to say, we got to do something. And so black people know for a fact that, yeah, America responds differently. A black man could cuss a cop out and he ends up dead. A white woman, we got the video, can cuss a cop out and he gonna say, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. The problem, though, with this is, Michael, if you said that, to your point, own it.
Is that what he should have done, Roland?
Own it. But and then you could, and then if you say it,
right.
But it's,
matter of fact, Joe Biden has actually been saying this.
Yes, he has.
He just didn't say it.
When he said that Obama was the first bright, clean, intelligent.
Joe Biden has been saying.
Oh, working class Joe.
Joe Biden has been saying, I can talk to the people of Scranton.
That's right.
Okay? Let me be like my man on Key and Peele, translation, talk to white folks.
Talk to white folks.
That's what it means. Tim Ryan, Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio. He's been saying, we need to send candidates out who can appeal. He's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
They just didn't say it.
But it just shows you he's a neophyte, right? Because if he were a real pal, they would be telling him, yes, admit it, get it behind you right now.
Right.
You know, this is when you get it's no accident that Elizabeth Warren, everybody's doing their bad stuff right now, getting it out, getting it behind them, because that's how you run. Because you got to have that stuff gone so that you run 2019 and 2020 clean.
Why did I go on ABC this week?
Yes.
And float Mitch Landrieu's name?
Yes.
Because I said, Mitch Landrieu, white man, centrist, mayor of a black city.
That's right.
That had lots of infrastructure. That's going to be an issue. Mitch Landrieu could be an interesting pick for 2020. And it's like, bruh, people understand that. We know the game. We know who Donald Trump is appealing to. But the point is, if you said it, own it, but don't say I got misquoted or taken out of context. And my whole deal is, give me the context.
Well, Roland, I had more problems with it, because I think this whole emphasis that I'm a white male, I can speak to white male, and white males elected Donald Trump. White women helped elect Donald Trump, too. It's a family conversation that white people need to be having.
Of white women
it's very
voted for Donald Trump.
That's a patriarchal viewpoint. I mean, we are so sick of this white supremacist, patriarchal, corporatist madness that this country is tied up in. And he's just talking about using his white privilege as a white male to talk to other white males. But he better watch out, because why do you think Joe Kennedy is on the road right now? Joe Kennedy the third.
In Louisiana?
Right. He's been everywhere. He's been in Texas, Beto. What do you think everybody's looking at Beto O'Rourke? Does he really think he is the only, quote, white male candidate out there, and Joe Biden and the rest of them?
Here's the deal, Malik.
Finish
real quick. Finish it.
No, but the point is that I thought his answer was horrible. Even if that was his defense, that he's, quote, better at talking to white men, because it's not about that conversation. It's about a broader conversation.
Piece, which I was trying to convey to him, that you have to understand. When Democrats keep saying, we got to appeal to these white working class voters.
Right.
What they're actually saying, which is nonsensical, is, all right, we got y'all.
Right.
We're going to talk to y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened after 2016?
Yeah.
When the Black Women's Roundtable and Essence Magazine released their report, there was a 10% drop, a 10-point drop in black women identifying as Democrats. All of a sudden, Tom Perez was like, oh, hell. It's like, yes, all that talk of appealing to white working class voters,
There you go.
listen to Michael Moore, call black women to say, oh, that's how y'all want to roll?
Yeah. Well, you know, and
We're going to teach your ass a lesson.
Right.
And then Tom Perez had to come back and apologize.
And
The parties about black women. I mean, he's been sitting here praising black women. He's been at every black women's
Absolutely.
event
Yeah.
that has happened in the past 15 months. And so my deal is, like, dude, I get your point, but let's just be real. If you don't turn out black people, if you don't turn out Latinos, if you don't turn out women, you can go talk to all the white men you want to. Your ass is dead.
Well, I think you can. I forgot today's date, but I think you can forget it at this point because this interview, just like your interview with Megyn Kelly, this is one of the things that's going to go down in history. So whatever he thought he was going to do as far as running for president, you know, I can say just on the outset that I don't know Avenatti. I don't think he's a racist. I think he should have apologized for that. I don't think because he said what he said that he's a racist, but it's gonna cause a problem.
And
for him.
again, look, I get context.
Yeah.
And again, yes.
He should have owned up to it.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, come
Got
on.
it.
We can
We're
actually,
giving you the
we can
opportunity.
actually have a look. There's a way to have that conversation.
Right.
And the way to have that okay. So let me just do this here. Okay. So Michael, this is how you had that conversation. Okay. So again, as a black man,
He's watching.
who know black people, who also know white people, let me have this conversation. So this is how you do it. And I got a little bit more hair than you do, and I'm a different body frame and everything. Let me help you out. So I'm Michael Avenatti. Let me go on back over here. So I'm gonna go back to the question. Is there anybody that you like in the Democratic political class, or do you think the 2020 nominee should be someone from outside of politics? I believe Democrats need to elect somebody who's willing to go toe-to-toe with every voter against Donald Trump. That means that nominee should be going after black men, black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, white men, white women,
That's
rural,
right. That's right.
city,
Everybody.
college, non-college,
Everybody.
dropout, GED, everybody, not sacrifice anybody.
That's
how you answer that question. The second question is when they said, really? Michael, you should have said, yes, really. You should have said, for instance, if you study the last election, Hillary Clinton did not aggressively go after white men. She allowed Donald Trump to run up huge numbers with white men, and he also ran up huge numbers in rural America. If you don't compete, you don't win. We need a candidate who is willing to go into rural America and to go into inner city America, who is willing to go into the middle America and go to the coast. That's the candidate Democrats need to elect. Okay, next question. So Obama only won because of who he was running against, but a Trump who activates people's racism and sexism, then you come back and say, I am willing to bet that any Democrat who has the guts to stand up to Donald Trump and to call him for who he is and to look, yes, white voters in the eye and to tell them you're voting against your own interest. Everything you say you need, this man is against. White America, you need health care in Kentucky, in Mississippi, and Arkansas. This man wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. White men who you say you want these jobs, this man has done nothing for you. Look at Carrier. All of you white women, you want better education. He is cutting the education budget by 5%. White men and white women in Virginia, you say you voted for Trump because of the opioid crisis. He's done nothing when it comes to the opioid crisis. And so Democrats need to be able to challenge Trump on turf that has been uncomfortable for them. And that means going to places like Tennessee, Arkansas, West Virginia, and looking them in the eye and say, I'm here because I want your vote, because I'm willing to help you. Michael, that's actually saying the same thing without actually saying it. That's how politicians talk.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. And all I'm saying is, don't run from it, own it, and accept it.
Roland, but again, he couldn't hear you because of what Barbara said.
Yes.
He's a novice.
Right.
What you raised, and he thinks he's doing electoral math. He said, I've been around this country. What he really meant is, I've been in these white enclaves.
Yes.
Now, I think buried in what he couldn't hear with you was the Florida issue. You're looking at Florida, which will be blue. It ain't going to just flip. It's going to, oh no.
Bro,
Them 1.5, come on, bro.
6 million
So if you
will get the right to vote.
Come on.
You can't walk your ass in there talking about law and order.
If Florida had flipped, Donald Trump would have been the president. He couldn't hear you. He also couldn't hear the demography of Texas or Virginia.
There's a gerrymandering initiative on the ballot in Michigan.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah, but you know, I don't think it
right.
has much to do with him
Ohio.
being a novice. I just think it has to do with being a white male. I think it has to do with him just being a white male.
I would accept it.
I don't think
it's some of it together.
But
because he
No,
But
Barbara, Malik is right. Because I'm telling you,
Some of it is
all
his
these Democrats, after Trump won, it was sort of like, oh my God, white men, oh white men, white men, white men, white men. What we gonna do with white men? And I'm going, did y'all look at the math?
Right.
No.
Your dumb ass is lost by 70,000 votes in 3 states.
Right.
If you had actually fought, you actually went there and understood what's happening in Wisconsin with voter ID, where 200,000 were impacted.
Absolutely.
Hillary didn't even go there.
Right.
If you'd actually gone to Pennsylvania and listened to black people who said, hey, boo, west of Pennsylvania is Alabama. You better run up some serious numbers with black people to offset all these white folks.
That's right.
The reality is she didn't even compete
Didn't
for
bother.
rural whites because they thought they had it in the bag. So it ain't hard to beat Donald Trump. Numbers don't lie.
Right.
White women are fleeing Donald Trump.
Like
he
crazy.
is not going to get the same percentage of college-educated whites
Not
in
at all.
2020.
No.
The electorate also is going to be, for the first time, under 70% white. It's
Yes.
likely going to be around 67 or 68%. So if you have a focus, you do what Stacey Abrams is doing.
Right.
Stacey Abrams like, I ain't
she's
chasing
killing
white
it.
women.
Roland.
She's like, I'm going to turn out
She's
my
killing
people
it.
Let me-
and others. And it's neck and neck.
One of the best.
Final comment before I go to my next
One of the
story.
best things I heard Stacey Abrams saying, you said this about poor white people. When she told her poor white people in Georgia, wouldn't anybody pay $1 and get 9 back? That was her way of explaining what expanding Medicare would be.
Right.
Anybody, the dumbest white person would be like, oh yeah, I want $9 for $1. Exactly. Stop. Do what Jesse did in 84 and 88. Talk to these poor white people. Go to Appalachia.
Right.
And win this election.
No. But Malik, I'm
It can
telling
be
you.
done.
I'm telling you. Look, I say this to Obama directly. Bruh, go to the whitest, brokest,
That's right.
reddest part of Mississippi and Alabama
That's right.
Yes,
That's
it
right.
and Louisiana.
He willing to go anywhere.
And tell them, all y'all from this county, these are the latest stats. You have the sickest county in your state. Y'all are sick. These are your stats.
Yes.
And they're going to sit there and go,
Opioid.
uh-huh. And then you going to say, the Affordable Care Act, I passed that
Come on.
for y'all,
For you.
for you. And then you say, Barbara, you got health insurance now? Yeah, breast cancer. That's right, now I got health insurance. So-and-so, so-and-so. Then you tell them, now going back and tell Jeff Sessions, why is he standing in the way?
Come on.
You from
Get
the
out the
sickest.
way.
I said, and then go to Mississippi and go to the next state.
That's right.
I said, damn it, stop going to suburban Virginia
Right.
and suburban Ohio,
Thank you.
touting the Affordable Care Act. Go where the broke white folks are. What everybody forget, President Lyndon Baines Johnson did not launch the war on poverty in the damn Mississippi Delta with some poor black people.
Nope.
No, he went to no teeth, no hair, sick, uneducated white folks in Appalachia and West Virginia.
Well,
That's
they
right.
take those people for granted, and even in the black community, we see that happen with the party now. The Democrats, a lot of them, they take a lot of the black vote for granted, and they come into the communities when it's election time. So
But
there's
Malik,
not
do you think that the Republican Party takes those poor whites for granted? In
Hell
other words,
yes.
Is poor whites
I do.
the electoral capture
I
of the?
do.
So,
Yeah,
so how?
I do.
I mean, and I don't buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
Ben Sass is a joke with his morality. Jeff
Oh,
Flake
please.
is appropriately named.
Please.
But I'm saying, if Donald Trump collapses between now and 2020, and it's very real
which I
possibility
don't
he will.
think he
He
will.
will.
But
Well, I mean,
You know, that's okay.
whether he does or doesn't. Let's say he's there and he's running. Can he win re-election by running this hardcore white nationalist and guaranteed to win the flyover states with 3 electoral votes apiece strategy?
I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's
How
going to.
could he change?
I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to use the same coalition that he used in.
Roland just told you he doesn't have that coalition.
Well,
that coalition is dead.
no, I said
that coalition is dead.
No, I said that he's going to use the same
Yeah, but it's
coalition.
dead.
Whether
It's
or not
dead.
they support him, that's
Right.
a different story.
Here's
But
the
he's gonna take
mistake.
the same
No, that
Here's the
coalition is
mistake
dead.
that Avenatti is making, and here's the mistake that all these Democrats that I've seen them making. They keep sitting around thinking that 2020 is going to look like 2016.
That's
First of all,
Right.
Hillary ain't running.
please.
The arrogant ass white boys who are running her campaign
Right.
not going to be running the campaign.
Hopefully.
And let me say this right now to any Democratic nominee, and let me
Tell
just
'em.
be as honest as possible.
Put this on a loop.
If y'all run out and go hire another cadre of arrogant ass white boys who think they know every damn thing,
Data analyst.
y'all, no, don't switch the damn camera. Keep the damn camera on me. This is a message
Yes.
to every Democratic nominee. If you run out and put at the top of your leadership a bunch of arrogant, cocky ass white boys who are young, who think they know every damn thing, you're going to get your asses whooped in 2020. If you don't have black people at the top of your leadership, if you don't have Latinos at the top of your leadership, if you don't have people who know how to listen to the ground, who's going to get their damn heads out of the iPads and the iPhones, then y'all going to lose. This is not hard. You could talk about the economy all you want to, Michael Avenatti. The reality is, even white folks are embarrassed by Donald Trump, okay, and by his actions and his attitudes. So what you're going to see in 2020 is a different electorate. You just heard me say Florida, 1.6 million formerly incarcerated will be eligible to vote. Trust me, if you come to Florida talking about law and order and throwing folks in prison, Trump is going to go down in flames. Look at those electoral college numbers. Second of all, they're looking at the ballot initiative in Michigan. You look at also, if progressive, and let me go ahead and say this right now, all you rich damn progressives, I don't know what the hell is wrong with y'all, or y'all are stuck on stupid, where you're not funding Representative Alicia Reese's Bill of Rights in Ohio.
Come on.
Every damn year, we got to deal with lawsuits and going to court in Ohio. If you change the damn state constitution and you make the right to vote, make it part of the state constitution, you ain't dealing with all this crazy ass stuff in Ohio.
That's right.
They changed the constitution in Florida. So I wish all y'all with your money would simply call Alicia Reese. All you got to get is 330,000 signatures to put it on the ballot. Even Republican white folks not going to vote against having an affirmative right to vote in the Constitution. But again, you got smart-ass white progressives who don't want to stand behind black people who are also, in this case, smarter than y'all,
That's right.
who understand how to deal with politics.
That's right.
But no, y'all want to sit here and spend a whole bunch of money walking around talking about the same stuff and don't nothing get changed. Republicans changed America by doing what? Ballot initiatives. What Desmond Meade is doing in Florida can be replicated in other states. It can be replicated in Ohio, in Michigan, in Texas, and other states. And you know what that does? It flips the map. So if y'all stop running around and trying to find the great white hope,
That's right.
which is really the great white hype, and also even stop trying to anoint the great black hype and understand
Watch out now.
this all comes down to how do you connect with people. So all you rich progressives, drinking your lattes and sitting there flying on your planes, if you want to change the game, you put money and you play the long game. And the last point, put your damn money in Texas. Take $10 to $20 million.
That's right.
And say we're going to hire 1,000 people and move them into Texas to register the eligible but unregistered 2.1 million Latinos. Guess what happened? SNCC did that.
That's right.
CORE did that. Nonpartisan money funded these young people who moved into those places, talked with the people, with the sharecroppers. Ella Baker said, take your college clothes off and put your overalls on. And if you don't believe me, read Barbara Ransby's book on Ella Baker.
Come on, brother.
She said it ain't pulpit to pew, it's pew to pulpit. If you got to go in and you got to talk to those folks, they got to know you and trust you, then they'll register, then they'll vote. But if y'all walk in there with your damn iPad 2 months out and somehow thinking Latinos are just going to magically register, it's not going to happen.
That's right.
Michael Avenatti, you think you know politics because you've been traveling around the country.
You don't know.
Bruh, I don't know politics.
Didn't know he was that bad.
I've lived politics. My mom and my daddy were community organizers, running a civic club, running phone banks, running campaigns. Right now, they are running poll election centers in Dallas County in Texas. Trust me, just because you're a lawyer and just because you're smart, don't mean your ass can't be wrong.
Tell me about it.
If y'all want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to support us. Of course, you can also join our Bring the Funk fan club. We appreciate your support as well. We're going to leave the show this way. Comedian and actress Niecy Nash has released a satirical infomercial, y'all, for all these white folks who losing their mind about black folks coming in their lives. And so I want y'all, check this out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh yeah, by the way, before I go, let me go ahead and tell y'all this here. So you know the little Candace Owens and Turning Point USA.
Don't do it.
They got their little conference going on, starting with Black Conservatives tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, we asked for media credentials to go cover their conference, and then they told us we were approved. Then they hit us back and they said we were not approved to cover their conference. Now, this is the only daily show that covers black people.
Right.
And they got a young black conservative summit, but won't let us actually go cover it. Now, ain't that funny? I've interviewed every major black Republican in the last 25 years. Colin Powell, Michael Steele, Alan West, J.C. Watts, Tim Scott, Kay James. Yo, I can do a whole roll call. But Candace and Charlie Kirk, they little group, oh no, we can't cover them. But you know what? Hell, I've interviewed some non-black Republicans. You want to hear their names? President George H.W. Bush, President George W. Bush, Senator Lindsey Graham, Congressman Bill Flores, Congressman Pete Olson, Congressman Tim Price, Commerce Secretary Carlos Gutierrez. I go on and on and on. See, let me help y'all out, Charlie and Candace. Y'all got a fake-ass organization. Because the reality is, you figure because you got 400 young black conservatives coming into D.C. that somehow y'all are doing something. Let me help y'all out. We've known black conservatives all our lives. And it's the black conservatives who got better credentials than y'all who know what's going on. And every single one of those black conservatives, guess what, Candace? If I walked into a room, they're going to talk to me before they talk to your little young ass. So maybe what y'all should do is stop being afraid of black media and actually come sit down and talk to black people who know what the hell they talking about. But see, y'all think y'all cute because white mainstream media has done stories on you. NBC News and also USA Today and Thank You All That. But Candace, I'm telling you right now, see, you don't have to come to your conference. But guess what? Y'all don't control the media credentialing at the White House. So guess what I got right before we came on air? We got credentials to y'all get together with Trump tomorrow morning in the White House at 11:30.
So you gonna see them then?
Guess who's gonna be there? Me and our cameras. Y'all thought y'all were running this. But even the White House, Candace, knows it's smart to talk to Roland Martin. Holla.
For a charcoal grill, no charcoal grills are allowed.
You're scared.
Please leave me alone.
You're white.
African American.
Illegally selling water without a permit.
But with cell phone cameras and social media, calling 911 on your black or brown neighbors just isn't what it used to be. Hi, I'm Niecy Nash, actress, inventor, and advocate for not calling 911 on black people for no goddamn reason. I'd like to introduce you to a radical new product that will save you all the headaches of being filmed and outed as a racist douche. It's called 1-844-WHITE-FEAR, and it's revolutionizing the way racist white people cope with black people living life near them.
1-844-WHITE-FEAR? There's a black guy outside my neighbor's house, and he's walking around.
Our experienced staff have been living while black in America their entire lives. Darren here is a former Obama aide who had the cops called on him for moving into his new apartment.
Yes, that is actually your neighbor Michael. Yeah, no problem.
Our records are actually showing that's actually his boat. Yeah, I know. Black people have boats too now.
Studies show that people of color are more likely to be arrested, convicted, and serve longer sentences than white people for similar crimes. So calling 911 for non-emergency situations is really just a move.
I got so scared when I saw a black guy walking around outside, and so I called 1-844-WHITE-FEAR, and it turns out we're neighbors, and I'm a racist.
Now, black people have been helping white people be better since always.
So she's looking around and standing there?
Irregular Frisbee or ultimate Frisbee?
Call it when black people are having a barbecue, taking a nap in a rec room, mowing the lawn, waiting for a friend at a coffee shop, golfing, shopping, enjoying a vacation at their Airbnb, going to work, coming home from work, working while at work, campaigning for office, swimming with socks on, delivering newspapers, buying a house, selling water, parking their car, using a coupon, and so much more. 1-844-WHITE-FEAR. It's a real number for real white people who should mind their own damn business.
What's going on here?
If you've been a victim of 911 harassment, please email us at 844-WITE-FEAR at nytimes.com.